I'm going to be kind of bent over so I can quickly grab my tripod because Lynn keeps almost knocking it over and I don't want my phone to fall on the ground. So welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm going to be doing my September 2025 reading wrap up. September was a great reading month for me. I had some fantastic buddy reads and I can't wait to share them with you. So first of all, I read All of Grace with Dea from Novelidea, and this was an amazing Charles Spurgeon read. It was so healing to my soul. There's so much going on in the world, the school shootings, you know, countries fighting against countries, our own country, just like so much fighting and turmoil and disagreement, and just reading about the grace of God and how he loves a sinner like me. I mean, just the beauty of it is indescribable of this book, and how Spurgeon was used by God to write this beautiful work. It was written for unbelievers, but I think that believers will be blessed just as much from this work. And then I did another buddy read with my sweet friend Chrissy from Chrissy's Purple Library, and this was a Colleen Coble mystery from her Rock Harbor series, and this is the first one in the Annie, what's her last name? Anyway, it's the newest one, I believe, that has come out, and Annie is just a very competent young woman. She is a park ranger that solves crimes and is basically a lady police officer. She's recently had a terrible loss. Her husband has made her a single mom by passing away at the same time that her mom and dad passed away in a boat explosion. And there is another mystery involved in the story about her little sister disappearing when her sister was 3 and Annie was like, I think her little sister was actually 5 and Annie was 8. And so we don't know exactly what happened to this poor girl. And so we have that mystery, but we also have this wonderful story that develops in present time, because we're dealing with a murder mystery and we have a love interest come from the past. Now, I will admit that at first it was very slow to me, and it was also very slow to Chrissy at first, so we weren't really sure if we were going to like it. It eventually picked up. It is a little stereotypical, but I feel like the mystery is a good one and is fun, and I would definitely recommend. Just understand the first maybe 20 or 30% of the book is a little slow. And we moved on to the next book in the series, so that lets you know that we did enjoy it. Next, with Courtney Reads, I read a Dostoevsky short. I can't say his name today. So this is A Dream of the Ridiculous Man, and he is a man who has some serious mental health issues. He's considering ending things for himself, and before he does that, he is rude to a little girl who desperately needs some help from him. Her mother is very ill, and so she's out and asking for help, and he just kind of ignores her, pushes her off. He gets home, feels extreme guilt about it, but he's like, what does it matter? I'm ending things anyway. He falls asleep and has a dream, and this dream, I don't want to give everything away, but it was beautiful. I love the way that Dostoevsky uses his visual images. I love it. So anyway, I think it would be a great one to start with if you have not read Dostoevsky yet. All right, then The Last Green Valley. This is by Mark T. Sullivan, and I read this for my book club. We're going around different countries of the world. This was September's read, and it is about World War II era. We're in Ukraine to start, but there's some traveling going on. This family, they are Germans by heredity, so the Germans want to safely get them away from the Russians that are trying to kill them, but they do not align with the Nazis, so it's a very awkward situation. I would say that if you're not in a good place in your life, I would not read this right now. It has some violence, it has a lot of stress, and it was hard to get through, but I'm very glad I did. It was a very good World War II era book, and it's based on a true story. So the next one I read was also from my book club. This is October's read. So we will talk about it this month, but I finished it last month, and that's the Lotus shoes. And so we were dealing with China, and there's a lot of discussion about binding feet. We have a little girl named Little Flower. Her mother has to put her into slavery because she can't afford to take care of her. But she has bound her feet because only a respectable woman, to get a respectable life and get a respectable marriage, would have bound feet back then. Slaves, another thing, would have big feet. So it was very sad. She was given as a slave to a little girl named Ling Jing, who treats her terrible. She's so jealous of Little Flower because Little Flower has much better embroidery than her. Her mother treasures Little Flower, and Little Flower, she's jealous of Little Flower's bound feet. She does not have bound feet because her father has made an arrangement for her to marry someone that's very progressive in their thoughts. So in her jealousy, she has them unbound Little Flower's feet, taking a lot of her prospects away. And a lot of it is just back and forth like this. And you do feel sorry for the little girl Ling Jing, who's very spoiled at one period of time. But a lot of it, I will tell you, was hate read to see if Ling Jing was gonna get what was coming to her. I would say it was an entertaining read, but Ling Jing, that character, made me mad. All right, so Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nimh was a book that we read together with my kiddos, and I really, really liked it. I saw the movie when I was a little girl, but the book, of course, is better. So we have Mrs. Frisby, who is a recently widowed mouse. Her husband has passed away. She has young mouselings, and one of them is sick, and she knows that the place where her little house is going to be plowed by the farmer, so she needs to safely move. But one of her children, like I said, is very ill and can't be in night air. So she goes to the owl for some advice, and he says to go to the rats. And the rats are where things get very sci-fi and fun. And so I really enjoyed it. My kids really enjoyed it. They thought it was really interesting. We also read Sing Down the Moon by Scott Odell, and this is the story of Navajo people that are made to move from their land. We follow one girl, teenage girl in particular, and she has gone through the ringer in this book. She's kidnapped at one point, and it was just a book to read to my children to help them understand the history of things and how awful Native Americans have been treated in our country. This was a Navajo story, but we are Cherokee and Choctaw, and our ancestors did have to endure the Trail of Tears. So it's always important to get our children to understand history. All right, then we also read Long Walk to Water, and why am I forgetting the author's name? I will put it in the book up, and then I'll put it in the description box as well. And this is just a dual timeline story. We have in the 1980s, where we have a child who is one of the children in Africa that gets separated from his family because of the horrible atrocities that were happening against humans and their rights. And we have a little girl who is taking a long walk to water in the early 2000s, and she is walking back and forth 8 hours a day to get water. And it's beautiful to see how their stories are connected, and it was just very eye-opening to my kids. We were studying ancient Africa, and I thought it was good for them to understand that modern Africa, and it's a big continent, but the things that happened in Sudan and Rwanda help them understand just what the reality is and how blessed they are to live in a country where they are free. All right, and I can't remember if I talked about this already, but we finished Taran Wanderer. This is by Lloyd Alexander, and this is the fourth book in the Prydain Chronicles, and I would recommend this fantasy series so much. It's beautiful. Taran is in this book searching for who he is, and he's got faithful Gurgi, his little creature friend along with him. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful, well-written book. So that's what we read in September. What did you read? Please let me know. And I hope that your October reading is great. Read a lot. Bye-bye.